All right, today we're tackling a topic that everyone always asks about. It seems to be the first thing that people ask about usually, and that is supplements. What's actually worth your money? What's just the marketing, and how to know what you actually need based on your goals? Because I think a lot of supplements can absolutely help, but they're not magic and they're not required. So if your training, nutrition, sleep, and stress are off, there's no supplement in the world that's going to fix that.
Right, and they're called supplements for a reason, right? They're meant to supplement your solid nutritional foundation, not replace it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of break down what we use, what we think is actually worth it versus what we don't think is worth it, how to identify like the brands that are really good quality, those that aren't, because there's a lot out there in the marketplace, and how to know if you actually need something based on deficiencies.
hmm Yeah. But before we get into that, what's been going on in your world? We got fall season coming up, weather changes, I feel like.
Yeah, it's funny. I was, yes. So fall in my part of the country in Tennessee, it can be very pretty. The colors change and it gets a little bit cooler. Which then I get in this mindset because I'm a summer dude. I love my warm weather, and so it starts getting cold. A little bit of cold, I'm like, all right, this is kind of nice. I like the break, but then it starts getting colder and colder, and I'm miserable for like 6 months. And so I was thinking about the other day. I was like, I really I was actually talking about I was talking to a client about gratitude. He was mentioning how he was, practicing more gratitude, and I was like, "Oh, that's so funny," because I was actually praying this morning about how there's so many things that are so great in my life, and there's so many blessings that I have that I should focus more so on being thankful than for the few things that I want to complain about all the time. And of course, that was one of the things that popped up right in my mind. It was like free, it was like 30 degrees outside, and I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, I'm freezing cold, but the sun was coming out. It was, and so I was like, I need to kind of shift my mindset and think about like what are the good things about fall? What are the good things about winter? Not necessarily what do I hate so much about the winter. So yeah, so I thought that'd be a good thing to kind of talk about. So what do you like about the fall, like this time of year?
Well, the weather in Florida is immaculate. It's perfect right now, so I'm thoroughly enjoying that. um, I don't know. The thing is though, it's like I've never lived in a place where we actually have much seasons. Like Arizona's just like there's not really seasons. Same thing here in Florida, so obviously it gets like a little chilly for my standards at least. But like we don't really have much of that. So no, I don't know. There's not for me. There's not much any of anything, especially because I'm not really big on holidays either. So it's just like oh, just another day, another season. So I don't know. I don't really have an answer.
Well, I mean, you do like pumpkin drinks, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, not that I drink coffee. Like, I don't really like. I'm not even gonna have anything. Like, I guess make a pumpkin spice creamy, but like, yeah, that's about it.
That's a big win. Pumpkin spice creamy.
Yeah. What about you, though?
I'm gonna have to share a recipe that with our school community. I found a recipe for pumpkin pancakes.
Ooh, okay.
Super easy to make, and they're so good. Actually, like when I lick the batter, because that's what I do, stuff like that. I mean, it tastes almost like pumpkin pie type batter type. So I'll share on the school community app and see if people try that and see what they think. But I've made it quite a few times, like last couple weeks, and it is so good. So
Okay.
that's one thing I'm thankful for is like pumpkin pancake. I do like pumpkin things, but like pumpkin bread, I always love. But it could be like middle of July. I'm still gonna have some pumpkin bread.
Yeah. No, I'm
Uh,
excited for the pancake. Like, that's something up my alley. I feel like I need to make that.
yes, and it's so easy, just a few ingredients. So I'll put
Ooh.
that out there. Yeah. So one thing I do like, like I said, I love warm weather, but I do like when there's a little bit of coolness in the morning, and then it warms up throughout the day, and then a little bit of coolness at night, because then I can have like a hoodie, or I can put on some pants, and I don't know what it is, but I just like a little bit of coolness. I think that's I like that at night when I go to bed. It's like super cold, and even
hmm
though I don't love this, I wouldn't want to hang out in it. Like when I'm about to go to bed, I'm like, ooh yeah, it's super
Yeah.
cold. And hop onto bed. So it's kind of like that mindset. You get like, oh, it's a little bit cold outside. I'll put on some nice sweatpants, or I'll put on a nice hoodie. So I do
Yeah.
like that. I do like holidays. So I mean, I like Thanksgiving. I love Christmas, of course, and so it's always fun to look forward to that. And then of course we have a break in school, which we have our countdowns for Thanksgiving up on the board, and Christmas. we got that going on, and so and get towards the end of Christmas, so we have more like we have like a holiday party and things like that, and the kids get all excited about getting close to Christmas. So that's kind of fun as well. So there's things that I like about the fall. I grew up in Houston, the same type of uh, environment, atmosphere as you did in terms of like there were no seasons. It was like hot and then not as hot, and then it got hot again. And Tennessee is like full seasons. I mean, you get the fall, you get the winter, spring, summer, and so it's really pretty up here. Even though I'm a beach guy, and that is I prefer beach over anything. It is really pretty here with the leaves and the mountains. It's really really nice.
Yeah, I will say I agree. I think it seems to be the consensus here with everyone I talked to, like just because the weather's dipped a little bit in the mornings and evenings for us, so it's like everyone's like, ooh, like we get to wear hoodies, like we like that, and then the midday it's perfect. So it's like everyone's enjoying that. I like that too. I don't know. It just I like waking up and like going out, like putting on sweats, and like I go and read my Bible, and like I like make I got the LMNT, but like the chocolate ones that you can heat up. So I'm like, okay, I got like my warm drink. So I kind of like that vibe.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've always liked that and just throwing. But I think the shift is when I'm able to take it off because it's warmer later.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
put it on when it gets cooler. Not like, oh my gosh, it's freezing cold and it's only gonna get colder today and it gets cold and cold. I'm just constantly cold.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and speaking of or not Halloween, Thanksgiving, I signed up for a turkey trot today for Thanksgiving, so that's gonna be my celebration. So I'm like, all right, you need to do some running. I went for a run tonight. I was like, all right, we gotta prep it and get ready for this 5K.
There you go. That's the 5K.
Yeah,
Okay, you can do that.
yeah. I could go and rip it without like training for it. Like I'm not really gonna train intentionally for it, but I'm like, okay, I should probably at least do a little something leading up to it, just for fun.
I think a few runs before might be a good idea.
Yeah.
So, do you have a time that you're going for?
No, like, I'm not gonna push it, like, I'm really in a recovery and healing phase, and, like, I'm probably not even supposed to run. I probably shouldn't tell my coach that I've been running. It'll be fine, like, I'm not overdoing it, but, yeah, I'm not gonna try to push for anything. I'm just wanna go and do it just to, like, have something to do on Thanksgiving.
Okay, but realistically, you get out there and people are smoking you. You're gonna keep it the way, just keep it chill, or are you taking off?
We'll see. We'll see what the vibes are.
All right. Well, I'll get Nick to get you a realistic time.
Yeah.
You can go for that, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm very competitive. I'm going in with that mentality at least, but who knows how it'll end.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Maybe a couple minutes into it, you're gonna have to take off. We're gonna have to do something about
Yeah,
it.
that's fine.
All right. Well, let's talk about supplements. I feel like that's one thing that people always want to talk to you about when they find out that you're in the health industry and you know what you're talking about because there's just so much out there. And I feel like everyone wants just like that something else to like give them a little bit of an edge beyond what the normal things we know is going to build that solid foundation.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking for the shortcuts, and I maybe not even consciously either. It's just naturally they want something quick, especially because that's the culture that we're used to. Everything is quick. We get everything instantly. So naturally, when people are like, "Oh, I'm working on my health," it's like, "What supplement can I take to fast track my progress?" So they're always asking like, "What's the right fat burner? Like, what can I take to recover faster?" And kind of like we mentioned earlier, I think the biggest thing that we want to set the record straight on is if you're not consistent with the basics, it's like trying to build a house without a foundation. The foundation has to come first, which is your training, your nutrition, hydration, sleep, stress management, all the things.
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison to building a house. Like you really have to have that strong foundation, and you can add in all the other stuff. And most of these supplements, especially the ones we're talking about, there's no negative effects. You can take them. It's just you're going to be spending a lot of money and really not getting much out of it. And so you really need to build, like you said, build that solid foundation where you're doing everything right. Then that's kind of like the next step. Okay, well, what kind of supplements could I add to make my life a little bit easier, or what could I add to make just give me a little bit more push towards my goal? And they can fill in nutritional gaps, improve performance, speed up recovery. So again, it's kind of like they can enhance everything that you're already doing, right? So, um, and it can be easy because I am definitely a great example of getting in the habit of just grabbing bars, shakes, all kinds of any kind of things that just added, especially for me, like added protein to it, and it tastes good and it's so easy that I get caught up in that game all the time. Like, oh well, I could have this, nice whole food, or I could have this supplement that I love, tastes really good, whatever, and it's just easy. So we'll talk about what we do for each one and how we handle that.
Yeah, so first we should touch on the ones that we endorse, the ones that work, the ones that are useful. I think first being protein powder, kind of like you were mentioning with the bars and shakes and all of that.
Yeah, I really think that protein powder is the number one if you're going to take a supplement. And this is maybe, you might even be able to argue that this is maybe the one supplement that even when you get started, you could add to your kind of arsenal of whole foods. So usually it's going to come in a powdered form, right? A protein. We're talking about protein powder here, usually from whey, and that's what we would recommend. Whey isolate. It's going to have a higher protein content, less lactose, really easy to digest. I think that's the key here too. Uh, Basically fat free, so you can get tons of protein in with very low calories, and it's going to really help meet your daily protein needs. And then, of course, there are other protein powders out there if you have any kind of allergies, or maybe you don't want to have, dairy or animal products, stuff like that. So, like egg protein powder, they have bone broth protein powder. It's fantastic. And then there's some pea protein powders that aren't bad as well. But to start off, if there are no issues with that, we always recommend that whey isolate. It's going to support muscle repair, recovery, growth after our workouts, help fill in their protein gaps in the diet. Sometimes people have a really difficult time getting on that protein, and having a protein powder accessible and having that ready to go whenever you want. And it's easy. Most nowadays, you can just grab and you can shake it up a couple seconds, and it's ready to drink. So basically, anyone could use this. If you're thinking about, oh, should I be using it? Anyone that struggles to get enough protein in their food, busy schedules, vegetarians, things like that, athletes, anyone doing strength training, it's going to be very beneficial for you. And the cost depends on the brand, but typically you're looking at probably what, like $50 to $60 for a typical bag, or now they come in bags a lot of times. So, bags, you're looking at a couple dollars per serving probably. So not too expensive.
Yeah. I think this is one that's useful just to have on deck, even if it's not something that you use regularly. Because typically, too, we'll recommend is like ideally you want to get your protein from real sources when all possible, and then again use it as a supplement, like it is. But I think it's good to have on deck, especially for busy people when you're on the go, you don't have time to make something, or you just need protein, or like you're in between meals, you're running between meetings. It's great to have something to be able to get that protein in, or even when you're traveling to be able to get that. So I think it's good to have on deck, or even mixing in, like you said, like the protein pancakes you were talking about, just be able to bake stuff that has high protein. So you can make normal foods that you typically do, but add in protein, like your protein coffee. So I think it's great to be able to supplement and add into things that you're already eating to boost up that protein content. Because yeah, most people, that's the biggest thing is like people think they're eating a lot of protein, but if you start tracking it, it's probably closer to like 70, 100 grams a day, which is not enough if you're trying to build muscle, maintain muscle, improve recovery, just support fat loss, even just health longevity. So it's like, yeah, we want to be able to get foods from real foods when all possible, or protein from real foods when all possible, but it's a great supplement to have on deck and just to be able to use or make it creamy like I always do. So it's just great to have on deck at all times.
Yeah, and there's three times that I think it's extremely beneficial to have it. So one in the morning, because I know a lot of people struggle with getting a lot of protein in the morning. And again, we've talked about if you can win the morning and start off with like 50, 60 grams of protein, such a great start, such a great foundation for the rest of the day. And protein powder can really help out there. You have a couple scoops and you've got 50, 60 grams protein right away, and it's very versatile. You can use it in a lot of ways. Another way is after you work out. So you make sure you get tons of protein after you work out, about an hour or so after. And then another way I like to use it is at the end of the day. This is a really good way to use it if you're focusing on whole foods throughout the day, and you're looking at the end of the day and you're, oh, you know what, I'm like 20 grams short protein, or I'm like 30 grams short. The cool thing about the powder is you can measure however much you want. So if you need 25 grams of protein, great. Scoop up enough to make that 25, shake it up real quick, drink it, and you've hit your protein goal every single day.
So next up, we got creatine. It's a classic, one of my go-tos.
I love creatine. I'll tell you a quick little story. I'm old enough to remember when it first came out. I was like 15 or 16 years old. And I always used to read like, what was the magazine? Muscle and Fitness. That was like my go-to magazine. And they had promoted creatine. It had just come out. And of course, it was like, hey, this is a new supplement that is supposed to improve strength, power, muscle size. And I was like, oh, I'm totally in on all this. and there's like zero research, well, very little research on it. And I remember I bought some, and my mom was like, "Do you know anything about this?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, they've done like short-term research, and she was like, "I don't trust it. I don't know, whatever." And I was like, "Mom, it's good. Just believe me. It's gonna be good." Even though there's no reason to say it. I was just like, the blind confidence, right? And I've taken it ever since. So I mean, I've been taking it, when it first came out. So what is it, like 30 plus years? And the cool thing about it is the more research that they do on creatine, the more benefits they find. So
Mm.
I kind of mentioned something like originally it came out and said, okay, well, you're going to increase strength and power and muscle size, and right away, like you a couple weeks, you notice size, you put on 5 pounds of muscle, and it's pretty cool. But now they're saying that it can also support brain health and recovery, mitochondrial health. And so, I mean, really, I think they're going to even start probably promoting this to the elderly and everyone involved, and everyone should be taking this. So, um, yeah, so mood support, like I said, mitochondrial health, bone health, cognitive boost, skin benefits, better sleep, all that has been shown in recent studies, that creatine has improved all those.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool that you've been taking it for basically your whole life at that point. I feel like you should have superpowers now.
Well, I think it definitely attributes to my overall health.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I've definitely been taking it a few years for sure, pretty consistently. Um, it is one of the most studied supplements now on the planet. I think overall it just helps your muscles produce more ATP, which is the energy your body uses for short bursts of strength and power. And so it lets you get like more reps, lift a little heavier, recover faster in between sets, which again leads to more of the muscle gain. And then, like you said, there's all those other benefits that are coming out too. So I'm curious. I know 5 grams a day is like the typical recommendation. That's kind of the standard. Like again, everyone should be taking it 5 grams a day every day, no matter if you train or not. But recently, I've seen that there's a lot more talk about like upping it to 10 grams a day. I'm curious, did you ever try that, or have you experimented with that, or any clients that have done that?
Yes. So you're right. So originally it was like 5 grams, and that was like all you need. And for the longest time, and then recently they said, hey, let's keep bumping it up and see what kind of benefits. And so I think lately I've seen anything from like 10 to 20 is closer to like the recommendation. Even though if you get five, I mean, you're good. So if you're not sure about it, take five, you're good to go. So I have both. I use the powder, and
Hmm.
I use that when I mix it into things, or sometimes I'll just put it in water real quick, drink it down. And then I also have the gummies,
Mm.
just because the gummies taste so good.
Oh
They're
yeah.
more expensive, but they do say, and it's funny. So the gummies I almost use like a snack. And so like I have them at school, and I walk in my office, pop it two or three in there every now and then, and so I'll end up taking about 15 grams or so a day now. And I think it works well as long as you don't take it all at once. Like if you're
Mm.
going to take more, I think it's good to spread out. You take too much at once, I think you have little digestion problems probably. So if you are going to take it, I would spread it out throughout the day. Even the five, even if you're like, oh, I take five and I have a little digestion, spread that out. It's not going to harm you at all. It's still going to be beneficial. And so, yeah, so I don't know if I've noticed a difference. That'd be hard to say. I mean, because I haven't really done the perfect experiment on myself. Everything else is the same except for change the amount. But yeah, you're right. I've heard a lot of really good things about it, so I've bumped that up. And if a client asks me, then that's what I tell them: is to start off with five. You can definitely take, you know, 15, 20 for sure without any negative effects at all. It's like I said, all I keep seeing is a bunch of positive feedback and research from it. So go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it doesn't hurt to do it. I think there's a lot of myths out there too around creatine. It just like there's so many things of it causing like kidney issues, or I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that somehow people got in their head. I think people have this misconception too that it's some like steroid or like some type of like bodybuilding type supplement. Like, no, this is just like a health supplement that everyone should be taking. So it's like we want to get that stigma away from it.
Yeah, it's naturally found in meats in particular. It was just you'd have to eat so much meat to be able to get enough to get the benefits that we get with the powder.
Hmm.
And I was also going to say the powder is extremely affordable.
Hmm.
So it's real. I mean, you're like 15, $30 for like a 500-gram tub type of thing. And so you get a lot out of that. The gummies are a lot more expensive. So if you're looking for a more of a value, the powder is definitely there. But the cool thing about the gummies is one, it tastes really good. They can travel really well. And then also sometimes people are more consistent with something that they enjoy eating a little bit more.
Yeah, that's actually huge because truthfully, I'm really dialed in. I'm really consistent with everything, but taking supplements, man, is just like that's my weak point. I've definitely gotten better at it. Like I'm very consistent now. Like I do take them every day, but that's one thing in the past where it's just I'm so inconsistent, and that's why I love the gummies because I've been ever since I got those, I've been taking it every single day. When I have to take the powder, it's just like I don't like mix. I don't really like drink a lot of drinks in general, so it's not like I can go and mix anything. I don't like mixing it in water just because it's like, it just doesn't like. It's not really taste. It's just like, it's not that appealing. So I know that's stupid, but it's like that's just me. And like, so biggest thing when you're taking any supplement or like creatine or whatever, it's like consistency. Just like with your training, with your nutrition, is like we need to be consistent with it. So I freaking love the gummies. They taste so good. It could be dangerous too. You could definitely like eat a bunch in a serving just because like they're so delicious. But that's been a game changer for me just for consistency and making it more fun. And like you said, for travel or just on the go, super convenient. So I love them.
Well, that's a phenomenal point. You got to be consistent. If you take creatine every now and then, it's not going to do anything for you. You definitely need to get in your body. You need to be consistent with it. And go back to what we've talked about habits before. Habit stack it, and that's what I do. Like in the morning, I usually have it with a shake or a creamy or something like that. And then, or like I said, if I'm going to have like coffee, because I have read that it doesn't mix as well with caffeine, and so I'll just swig it real quick. But it's habit stack. I'll drink that, and then I have my coffee. And then same thing with like in the evening when I have other supplements that we're going to talk about, I have it like right after dinner. So I finish my dinner, I have my supplements, just like it's just a habit stack.
Yeah. So again, this is for everyone. 5 grams a day, every day. It doesn't matter the timing either. Just whenever's convenient. Just be consistent with it, basically.
Yes. All right. Another one is a multivitamin, and that's probably something that is probably more familiar with everyone than any of these other, right? Even I think as a kid, you used to take. Did you ever take those like little Flintstone multivitamins?
I think so. Yeah. I had some sort of gummy that I took.
Well, these weren't gummies. They were just like these little chalk things, and they tasted like little candy. They taste like little Pez things.
Oh,
They were
okay.
so good, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll take these. And so yeah, multivitamins are very good. And basically, what they do is they fit those small nutrient gaps in our diet, and because it's just so hard to know exactly what we're taking in. And I think I've read too a lot about how just our soil now currently is just not as rich in minerals and vitamins. So we're more deficient than we were like 20 years ago, even for eating the exact same type of food. So basically, anyone that does not have a doesn't have a lot of variety in their diet would probably benefit from a multivitamin. It's never a replacement. It's like any of this other stuff for fruits or vegetables or anything like that. You don't want to just pop in a bunch of multivitamins and never eat fruits or vegetables. However, supplement with your fruits and vegetables, then you're going to fill in those gaps whether you know that you're missing some or not.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's sometimes some controversy around these. Like, I think a lot of people swear by them or think that they're useless, but I do think in general, it's like one of those things that it won't hurt. Because, like you said, a lot of people aren't getting all the essential nutrients that they need. I think it's very rare that people are that dialed in with getting a wide variety of whole foods, plenty of fruits and vegetables, the protein, the healthy fats, and everything. So it's like if you are doing all those things, like you may not need it, but again, it could be useful if you're not super dialed and consistent with getting that every day.
Yeah, good point. If you're not sure, go ahead and take it. They're usually not too expensive, and they're not going to hurt you. All right, vitamin D, vitamin K. So typically we take those together, right? So vitamin D is going to support the bone, immune, hormone health. Vitamin K helps direct that calcium into bones, away from the arteries, and basically they work really well together. And so, and usually where we get it from is from the sunlight naturally. And so, if you are living somewhere where you don't get a whole lot of sunlight, or maybe you do, but you just don't get out very much, which tends to be more of the trend now, people just aren't getting enough sunshine, then vitamin D with the K can be a fantastic supplement. Okay. Especially if you have a desk job, you work all day inside. So, I take it all the time. I love it. I've heard nothing but great things about it. And so, another recommendation right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are deficient in this one. Funny story, actually. Like I was taking too much of it. I think because of just I'm in Florida, I'm out in the sun a lot. So it's like I was taking that, or I was out there and then taking a supplement, and like my levels were a little bit high. So I actually like was taking too much, but I feel like that's very, very rare. That's not the case for most people. But like it really does affect nearly everything in your body: your hormone balance, immune health, bone density, muscle strength. So it is a pretty fundamental supplement that we recommend most people take for sure.
Yeah, I think if you went and got it tested, that you'll find out most adults probably are deficient. And then I was just thinking about long winters, right? So even if you get out a lot during the summer, wintertime, I know my neighbor and I used to joke around in our neighborhood. Summertime, everyone's out hanging out, and then we're like, all right, well, winter's coming. We'll see you in like 6 months. Because you just typically spend more time inside, right? And so that's another time that would be great to supplement with vitamin D, vitamin K, and most likely your levels probably are lower than you think, lower than you want during that time of year.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially going into winter season right now. And yeah, I think generally the recommendation is like 2,000 to 5,000 IU daily. But again, ideally get your levels checked, see kind of where you're at, dose appropriately, but could benefit from that for sure.
Yeah, and one thing we really haven't talked about, but the optimal thing to do is to go get a blood panel and find out where you're deficient, and then you know
Hmm.
for sure. A lot of this is we're saying typically works well for people and what generally what people need. But if you really want to find a specific individualized recommendation, go get a blood panel and blood test, and they'll be able to tell you, hey, this is what you really need, and that'll then kind of takes the guesswork out of everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but in general, these are all the ones that's like pretty consistently, like if you take them, you'll be good. Next up being magnesium. I think this is another important one.
Yeah, magnesium, I wrote down in my notes that it's involved in like over 300 body processes. I think I heard from an expert one time it was like over 600. It's just involved, yes, in everything we're doing, right? So, and typically when someone mentions magnesium, it's kind of related to sleep. And that's kind of when I started taking it just to help me fall asleep. But it's supposed to help recovery, stress management, muscle relaxation, nerve function, sleep quality, energy production, a lot of different things. So, and then also kind of when we were talking about performance wise, people with muscle cramps, and this is another one kind of like with vitamin D. Most people are deficient in magnesium, almost, well, I'm not going to say guaranteed, but there's a very good chance that if you went and had a blood panel done, then you would find out, oh, you know what? I am not getting enough magnesium.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is like you said, sleep quality, calming the nervous system. A lot of people burn through magnesium because of stress and caffeine and training, so even a healthy person can be deficient.
Yeah, and there are certain kinds. I mean, you do want to take a magnesium, what is it? Magnesium glycinate, right? That's probably the best form and being absorbed. And they're not too expensive either. So that's another good thing about magnesium. But again, you want to choose the right form. Take the magnesium glycinate, and it'll absorb best. Because there's side note too on a lot of these things, you're going to find some brands that are fantastic. You're going to find some that are just producing this stuff that's not very good quality. You want to make sure, even if you're spending a little bit more, it's totally worth it to make sure the brand that's producing the item is going to be top quality.
Yeah, which we'll touch on a little bit too.
All right, omega 3s. So I think omega 3s is probably something that most people have heard about, or at least they've tried, or maybe they're like, oh yeah, I should be taking those. So basically, they're essential fats, sorry, that are found in fish or algae for the most part, and it's usually typically supports brain, heart, joint, anti-inflammatory health, and so really, I like to recommend these, especially for people that aren't eating a lot of fatty fish, or they're just not eating other items that have a lot of essential fats in them. And so they're really an underrated supplement, I think, for the most part, even though I feel like most people have heard about them. It can also reduce inflammation, supports brain health, like I said, improve insulin sensitivity, which is a big deal, and help with joint recovery. I don't know if I've mentioned that or not.
Yeah, I think most people eat more omega-6 fats from like vegetable oils, but not enough omega-3s from like the healthy fats, which creates an inflammatory environment basically. So the fish oil helps to balance that out. It really is such a underrated supplement.
Yeah, that's a great point. We do, there's a lot of vegetable oils in the product, especially if it's processed. And so you're right. We need to have more omega 3s to kind of balance that out. And so we're looking at like, a few grams of the EPA and DHA. and especially if you don't eat fatty fish like salmon, right? You might need.
We got a bonus round for supplements, which is electrolytes. I was talking about this earlier with like my element tea that I drink. I usually have that pretty consistently, but I think this is a good one that can be beneficial depending on each person's situation.
Yeah, I love Element Tea, that specifically that brand. I think when people think electrolytes, they think Gatorade, which
Trash.
yeah, well, yeah, and that's the funny thing is when it first came out, it was what's the story that the University of Florida developed it for their athletes, but that version was way different than the one that's sold in the stores.
Well, I'm
The one
sure.
now is like loaded with sugar, and I know they have different versions now that are less, but most of the time, especially when kids go out, they have games, people will buy them Gatorade. It's just loaded with sugar, and it's not really doing anything. It's not going to prevent dehydration. It's just or cramping or fatigue, which is designed. It's just going to load them up with more sugar.
I don't even think they have the appropriate amount of minerals in there either, do they? Like I haven't looked recently, but I don't think they have much of anything. I think it's just like a sugar drink that they people think is like healthier electrolytes.
Yes, it's probably just enough in there
To
to
market
say,
it.
hey, we have what we need. But yeah, and that's what we like about Element Tea is it's got a great mix of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and I mean I love it. I think you feel much better. I think it's a great supplement if you want to train in the mornings, without food. I think it's really good if you get headaches a lot or anything like that, or you're kind of getting at the end of the day or middle of the day, you get kind of some energy um, dumps type of thing. It's a great drink to have, and it basically has no sugar in it. I like the taste. I think it tastes
Yeah.
phenomenal.
So good. Yeah, and I think it's especially important if you train really hard or live somewhere hot where you're sweating a lot or you're in the sauna a lot. I think that's where it's going to be super key to have that. But yeah, again, like the sodium, potassium, magnesium, they help regulate fluid balance, nerve function, muscle contraction. So, especially when you sweat a lot or you drink a ton of water without replacing those minerals, that's where you throw that balance off.
Yeah, and if you get lightheaded during workouts or you cramp a lot, whether it's running or even inside the gym, it's a great mix to have before, after, during, at any time, really.
Yeah. So just be mindful of like where you're getting them from, like we said, like not the Gatorades, like really look at the content. We're not affiliated with LMNT. I think they're just like the gold standard of electrolytes at this point. But yeah, they have a lot of great flavors and like they taste super good. So I really enjoy drinking them too.
Yeah, same.
So, kind of like we were mentioning earlier too, it's like it's great to get labs done, blood work done to see where your deficiencies are, so that way you can supplement for that because that's going to be a big reason too. So it's like all the ones we went through are good foundational ones that you pretty much everyone should be taking. That's going to cover all the bases. But another great reason to supplement is to fix those deficiencies because you can't always tell by how you feel whether that's like fatigue, poor recovery, mood swings. They could all stem from missing nutrients.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of the guesswork out. The blood work is huge. You get a full panel once or twice a year. It'll check everything, your vitamin D, magnesium, the B12, iron, thyroid, inflammation markers, all that stuff. And then it just takes that guesswork out and say, hey, especially if you go through a reputable company, they'll tell you this is where you need to fix these gaps, right?
Yeah, that's how you make it more personalized for you as opposed to just grabbing what some influencer or someone on TikTok is taking. I feel like again, cover the basics, but it's like if people are taking certain things because they have certain issues, like don't just blindly follow it because you're like, oh, I have that too. It's like go and get your labs done, see what you actually need to make sure that you're getting the best outcome for yourself and not just taking random stuff or stuff that's gonna set you back further.
Right. And everything that we recommended is high quality. And even if you're not quite sure, it's not going to hurt you. It's all going to be really good for you. But there is a lot of stuff out there that is going to be a complete waste of money and totally not worth it.
Yep, hit us with them.
All right. Well, you first. Tell me what's the first thing that pops in your mind when you think complete waste of money, marketing scam? Don't take it yet. Millions of people do.
Fat burners for sure.
Yes. Yes. So what are fat burners? Someone's like, well, what is a fat burner? I take it, and I mean, what should I be getting out of it?
I feel like the name is what gets people because they're like, "Oh, I want to burn fat." It's like, "Oh, it's a hack. I can immediately drop fat just by taking the supplement." But it's mostly just caffeine, like usually green tea extract, and mostly they'll just raise your heart rate and usually suppress your appetite a little bit. But like again, it's not going to magically make you lose fat. So that's definitely a big misconception there.
Yeah, and a lot of times you feel kind of weird on these fat burners. If you ever had one or tried one, you take it and you're like, I just feel off. Like there's something going on. Like my system is not does not like this, and you're not going to lose fat on these fat burners. It's just a complete waste of money.
Yeah.
So
I used to so I my one of my first few jobs when I was in college, I worked at a supplement shop. It was awesome for me though, like because it's funny, like I used to go there every single day, and then eventually they were hiring, so I'm like, yo, can I get a job? And they're like, yeah. uh, but like I tried everything they had, including the fat burners, just because I'm like, oh, I want to see what's up. But yeah, like I think that was my experience. I just remember like feeling weird. My heart rate was super high. Like I just didn't feel great on them. But yeah, I remember that was one of the most popular ones that people came in and got for whatever reason.
and probably around this time of year too, especially getting closer to January.
hmm Yeah, I think another one, at least for me, that isn't worth it is pre-workout. Some can be good, but I think a lot of them are loaded with a bunch of junk. If you like more of the focus, that's fine, but also usually they put a shit ton of caffeine in there, a bunch of other stuff. So it's like don't rely on it as your energy source. I think sleep and nutrition are still the most important thing with that. Um, but it can be beneficial depending on like what type you take and like if it's something that like really helps you get into the flow or just like part of that ritual. But I think it's important not to rely on that type of stuff to be able to go and get a good workout.
Yeah, I'm kind of neutral on this one. I don't use pre-workouts. I have before in the past. I never really felt like I got any kind of boost from it. And so I don't really take it now. I know a lot of people that do, and they like it, and they feel like it's almost. I feel like it might be more of a mental boost, but doesn't really do anything. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
you take it, and you're not really getting anything out, but mentally you're more motivated. You're like, oh, I'm taking this type of thing. I'm going to feel great, and so you get into your workout and you push harder because you think it's doing something, but it's not really. But like you said, most of the time it's just something that's jacked up on caffeine, which you can get in anything else. I mean, you have a nice strong cup of coffee, and that could do the same type of thing. Like we said, element T, have that before, and I think you'll feel great before your workout.
Yeah, and get more of a pump too.
All right, green powders. I get this question a lot, especially randomly in the gym. People come up to me and say, "Hey, let me ask you a question. What do you think about green powder? Should I be taking it? What are your thoughts?"
Well, it's funny. Like my new coach has me taking it now, so I'm like, oh, we'll find out. But it's the first time I've ever taken it, so we'll see. I just started this week, but I think like this I'm kind of neutral on it too. It's like it's probably not going to provide a ton of benefits. Maybe it can help if your diet's really lacking in some of the produce, but I don't think it's a replacement for whole fruits and vegetables. And like in general, I don't think it's going to do anything magically for you. Like if you like it just for like the taste and for the habit of it, like sure, but I feel like it's just one of those things is like it's not really worth it. So, I'm kind of neutral on that one too.
Yeah, the only reason I don't like it is they're typically very expensive. And so I feel like you could use that money in a much better way. And I think a lot of people, they'll use it as a replacement for fruits and vegetables. And there's so much more value in having the whole foods. And so if it's something that you need, absolutely, it's probably, if you get a good brand, it's probably gonna be good for you. But I would definitely think that you could get most of it from eating whole fruits and vegetables. I think you would enjoy them much more, taste much better, much more fulfilling, satiating, and cost you a lot less.
hmm Yeah, like I think going through the list that we mentioned earlier is going to be a lot more important than worrying about the greens powder and getting that.
Yeah, very true.
And I think just overall, any sort of supplement that promises like a detox or fast results, like the fast fat burners, like just stay away. Like it's bullshit. That's not how it works. So like anything marketed in that sense, just stay away.
Well, I wanted to add a bonus thing to it too, because you get a lot of smaller companies or companies that do kind of like the pyramid thing, where you sell this and you can sell it to your friend type of thing.
Yeah.
They'll come out with a supplement and they'll either market it as if they're the only ones that have it or theirs is the best ever, or they'll market it specifically to like, hey, this is protein specifically designed for women, even
Mm.
though we know men and women need the exact same type of protein, right? So just be careful with how it's marketed. I think that's another thing, not necessarily the product in general, but how are they marketing it? Is it legitimate? Are they telling the truth? Is it truthful marketing?
Yeah. I think that goes into our next point too, which is like how to identify the trustworthy brands, like what to look for, like how to find good quality supplements.
Yeah, because you're right. You go into Vitamin Shop or wherever you're going, GNC, and let's say you're going for the protein powder, and you look on the wall, and there's a million different options. And of course, your eyes are going to go to whoever decided to do the best job with the label and the really cool flavors, right? You might have like, oh, I used to love Fruity Pebbles. Oh my gosh, there's a Fruity Pebble protein powder. I should get that. So how do you what do you look for when you're looking for a good brand?
Yeah, I think number one is like third party testing. Make sure that they are getting third party testing. Look for NSF, informed choice, or lab door verification. And then just transparency on the labels. No proprietary blends. You should see the exact doses and what they're putting in there. And also making sure that there's a clinically effective doses in there, meaning that the ingredient amounts match what's proven to work in research. Then, of course, just like no junk, added bullshit and fillers and stuff. Avoid the unnecessary dyes and sugar, a bunch of just caffeine just to feel the kick, kind of like we were talking about. So I think those are kind of the main things to look for.
Yeah, and not all the time, but a lot of times the least amount of ingredients is probably going to be a better option. But a lot of times I like to compare. So if you find a brand that you're like, oh, I think this looks really good, find a couple other brands and just compare them and see what the differences are. And if you see a wide range of differences, there's probably one that's way better in that group than the other one. You can go to like examine.com, or you can just kind of ask like an AI search engine type of thing and say, hey, what's the best quality protein powders out of these or something like that. Or even I've done this on like ChatGPT. They compare these protein powders, and
Hmm.
they'll tell you everything from how much protein is it, how much it costs, what's in it, any fillers, all that kind of stuff. And then basically take the time, do a little bit of research before you just grab one that sounds really good.
Yeah, for sure. And Legion is the brand that I work with personally because of this, because I trust them. You know, they're third party tested. They have really quality stuff all the way around. So it's like that's my go to. That's what I recommend for clients for basically everything that we covered here. They have the most amazing protein flavors too. Like I'm sure people have seen my supplement cabinet with all my protein powders that I get from them. It's so bomb. That's where I get my creatine gummies too. So it's like they have everything really quality brand there. So I highly recommend like if you guys do want a reputable brand, Legion is a good one. And I do have a code with them too, which I'll share on my link and everything. But if you use the code Mackenzie S, it gives you a little discount and just supports us too.
Yeah, I love Legion products, and the owner, the company, just in general, they have a great reputation making sure that they put out a product that's high quality. And if it's not anywhere close, he completely scraps it and goes back to the drawing board type of thing. And so, just a really great reputation. Everything that I've had from them has been fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, they're the best. And speaking of like supplements that you take, is like what are your go-to supplements day to day?
So I every day, I say daily, I always take I have whey protein powder, right? Whey protein, whey isolate. And like I said, usually it's in the form of either a shake, a creamy, or protein coffee. And I use that in the morning. That's usually the way I use that protein powder. I do like creatine a lot. Like I said, I've been taking it for like 30 years or so, maybe more. But and I'll take it in powder form. That's kind of like my go-to if I'm only going to have one. And then the gummies, or especially if they have a sale or something, like, oh man, I got a really good deal on this. I'll buy a couple. Or when I travel, I like to take the gummies when I travel. It's just easy just to pop in my mouth. Electrolytes I take most days. The element T, I wouldn't say like every day. And if I skip a few days, I don't have an issue with that. That's more of a luxury for me. Fish oil, as beneficial I think it is, I have not currently on it. I don't know why. I kind of go through phases where I'm like, oh, I should probably start taking some fish oil, and I'll buy some. Um, what else do I take? I take magnesium every single night, and I we didn't talk about this, but I take turmeric
Mm,
quite often because I've found some really good anti-inflammatory effects with turmeric. But I don't know if I would recommend that for everybody. And then what we kind of did is kind of wanted some of those more like a general um, recommendation. And then I take vitamin D every day as well.
gotcha. Yeah, I feel like mine's pretty similar too to our list. Is like I take most of the ones that we recommend. Like I protein, yeah, I use the Legion Whey Plus. Like I said, a lot of great flavors in there. And then creatine, I take the gummies. I have a couple brands I work with for gummies, so I kind of alternate between those and Legion. Also take electrolytes. I'm kind of the same as you with that though. It's like not every single day. I mean, especially during summer, it's pretty consistent, or when I'm using the sauna or when I'm out playing volleyball. So fairly consistent there, but not every single day. It's kind of more as needed. Do take fish oil as well, vitamin C. I take the Legion multivitamin. I take a probiotic. I also take magnesium, glycinate, ashwagandha to help with stress. And then I take NAC and DIM plus CDG. That's kind of more hormone and stress stuff. And then my coach has me on a bunch of other supplements that I just ordered too, so I don't even know what they are yet. I have to go look at them. I just like I blindly follow. I'm like I trust. So we're gonna switch up the protocol a little bit there with some stuff just to work on healing my gut a little bit and just recovery and hormones and all that. And then Lunar is actually another one that I freaking love. This is a sleep supplement from Legion as well. It's like these tablets that have, I forget off the top of my head. I think it has glycine, GABA, and like a microdose of melatonin. And so like that's my like ride or die sleep supplement. I freaking love it. It's life changing for me. So that's another one that I do take consistently.
Yeah, I think I want to make sure people understand we're not saying you should go out and buy all of these
Oh
things.
yeah, no, no, no.
Well, most people should probably only be taking a couple of these. And again, you want it to be very individualized. Very, you got to figure out what are you lacking most in. What do you need most, or what would help fill the gaps. For me, if you're like you could only have two, Lawrence, I would it would be whey protein and it would be creatine. Those are the two that I would 100% get every single day. The other things I think I would be okay without, but those are the two things that I just use every time I find the most benefit from.
Yeah, yeah. We don't say this to tell you to go and get all these. Again, like I've gotten labs done. I'm working with my coach, and like these are all very specific to me and what I need. So just take that for what it is. Stick to the basics, kind of like we walk through for the general ones. And then if you want to get labs done and dive deeper into that, then you can do that.
Right. So if we're kind of looking at this like our journey, right, as our new chapter in our life, a new story, supplement is going to be, it's going to help, but he's not going to be the main character, right? It's going to be more of like a supporting cast to the solid foundation that we're going to build with eating whole foods, with getting a really good sleep, resistance training, and working on stress management, right? So get those first, nail those down, really dial that in, and then we can start looking, okay, what can supplements do for me to kind of enhance my overall journey?
Hmm. Yeah, if you're not sure what's worth it or where to start, that's what we help people with as well inside our school community. And Lawrence is going to drop that pancake recipe, which I'm looking forward to in there.
So good.
So yeah, we break down everything, including the brands, dosages, what's worth your money. And I'll also link Legion and like all of our recommended supplements too in the show notes if you guys like want to go and check those out too and compare them and find what's going to work best. So yeah, we'll drop that in the notes. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys sharing with your friends, clients, family, whatever it is. And we will catch you in the next one.